Hi guys, it's me Karen from Karen's Intuitive Jewelry. Hope y'all are doing well. I've been having some physical therapy lately for my neck, and so I took a break. But today I decided was the day I might try to create something using a torch, an open flame torch. I have very little experience in this technique. I had started it last year, about June or July, and then sustained an injury in October and literally had to put everything away because I could not really do anything for several months. But moving on, I think today's the day I'm going to try and make at least a pendant. It's considered hard soldering, even though I'm going to be using copper because copper's way less expensive than sterling silver. So I'm going to be using copper sheeting. Already stamped it with my initials. Got some real pretty little bezel wire that's also copper. These two just gorgeous moonstones, which I felt deserved a first attempt for me. Well, I really wanted to do those. And so we have a charcoal block. We've got a Solderite. We've got some flux that really is only for hard soldering, not soft soldering. Soft soldering is with totally different equipment, a soldering iron, totally different solder, totally different flux, does not require an open flame. This is the solder. It comes in 3 different, or actually I think there's 5 or 6 different temperatures is how it's rated. This is for super high heat. The heat has to get 1450 degrees Fahrenheit, and so it goes down in temperature to, I only have hard, which is called hard, medium, and easy. It can go, I think, to super easy or easy. It can go higher than this. So maybe it's just 5, because different metals really require different solders. So for me, it's way more detailed and complicated than soft soldering, and so requires a lot more precision, we'll say. You gotta have some water to quench your piece, and of course, it's going to be really hot. I have a fire extinguisher out. I've got good air ventilation going, and we're going to give it a try. So I'm not going to try and do like filming of the flame. I can show you. You turn it on and then you press it and heat, and then you reduce the flame. But I'm not going to try and do that on film. I'm not that good at it yet. I'm going to probably do little bits and pieces to show you how I get there. So first is I measured my stone against a piece of metal that I wanted to use, drew the outline. I have already taken the bezel wire and formed the bezel around the stone. And when I say precision, unlike soft soldering is known to be able to create what they call a bridge. So you can take 2 pieces of copper or whatever and bridge it. Like there can be a gap, and the solder will bridge that. Not so much in hard soldering. The connections have to be precise. You cannot see any light through your connection at all, or the solder will not stick and won't create a good join, they call it. So you literally have to hold your piece up and make sure you can't see any light coming through the connection. And so I successfully did this yesterday. Woohoo! I was so excited, even though I'll admit that this is the easy part for me. So your edges have to be absolutely clean. They can't be jagged, they can't be mismatched, and you have to use a file or whatever sandpaper to make sure that it's absolutely a perfect connection, or the solder will not connect. And unfortunately, in all the advancements we have, there is no solder, which is the product that connects, that is copper color. There are some techniques that you can use to make it tarnish, basically, is what it's going to do. But when you're working with copper, you're going to end up with silver seams. So I managed to file this down a little bit, and I'm going to patina these, so hopefully it won't matter too much. Anyway, moving on. Did that, and now today I'm going to attempt to solder this bezel onto the back plate, they call it. And again, there can't be any light coming through, or that solder will not connect. You could see when I was turning this, you could see a little bit of light through there. So there's things you can do. I'll have to use some sandpaper and try to level this even more. I mean, it looks pretty perfect to just an eye, but it may not. And so I've learned to just go ahead and take some paper and file the bottom of it to get as good a clean surface as you can. And I'll attempt to do the attachment. But I'm also going to, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'll stop there. Okay? Oh my gosh, you guys. I did it on my first attempt. Oh my gosh. There's no open gaps. Wow. So maybe after this break, I've learned some things just from stepping back. You can see where I put, just so you know, the little pieces of solder are literally 1 millimeter square. So they're really, really tiny. So that's one thing. You guys know I have the tremors. So it's tough when you're nervous because you don't want to mess up. You have a tendency to, you know, to shake more anyway. But now you're dealing in super small things. And what I decided this time to try, because I had heard a lot more education-wise that we as beginners tend to use too much solder, thinking that the more solder, the better, blah, 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 and it's not so, unlike soft solder. So I decided to take these are called pallions, and I actually cut them in half. So now we're talking about a 0.5 millimeter worth of solder that I put in 4 areas on both long sides and both short sides, and by golly, it worked. Oh wait, am I seeing? No, that's just the shine from the solder. No, it's a good seal. Wow. So I'm shocked. Yay. And then you never just throw your stone in there because you might have lost the fit. So how you check it is you put a little piece of dental floss down in your cavity of your bezel, And then you try your stone. All right, because that's kind of a tight fit. I don't want to force it because I'm not ready yet. And I may have turned it the wrong way. Let me check the back. No, that's supposedly the right way. So there is a lot to it, you guys, and I do get like extra nervous. But there, so it fit. Yay! Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry, you guys, because this was the most recent journey I had started before I got re-injured. And I literally had 4 projects out, ready to work on them. And I couldn't. I had to put them all away. And so I was sad and grieved the possibility of not ever being able to do this again. So I'm just thrilled. Now, of course, my neck is already hurting, so I'm going to take a break. And the next thing I'm going to do is try to attach the bail, or you could do a jump ring, or you could make your own kind of bail, or I had previously made this bail, which I think is kind of cool because you can see there's already some solder on it. But I thought this would be kind of cool if I could get it looking like that. And this is also already textured. So before I even do that, what I'm gonna do is, and you can see this isn't quite centered. That's okay because I'm gonna have to cut corners off and stuff like that. And there's a lot to this, but I wanna put this pattern, which almost looks like little teepees, and I thought it would match this pattern on the bezel. And so I'm going to try and get this effect with metal stamps around the bezel, and then I will come back and trim things off and try to solder this on. I'm going to clean it up a little bit, I think, maybe make it a little smaller. And I have to leave room up here because then once you set the stone, well, setting the stone includes pushing then all this top of this bezel over the top of the stone. So there's still many steps to do, but this is kind of what I'm going for. And I'm just, oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled to have done this part on my first try. Holy moly. Okay, I'm gonna go rest. Okay, so I managed to get that bail on the back. You can see, you can't help but the silver in the solder, but we're going to patina that. And I'm not sure I'm going to need to solder the front piece once I roll it over. I think it'll be okay, but we'll see. And then I textured the front. Now I'm going to patina it before I do the stone. Yay! Oh, and I totally skipped this process. This is called pickling. You have to pickle your metal kind of after each time that you put the torch to it. That's what kind of shines it up again and gets like they call it fire scale or fire stain off of it. So yeah, pickle. It's kind of an acid and has to be in a kind of a crock pot or something that'll keep it warm. And then I just made kind of this little basket that I put my pieces in and then dump it so I don't have to try to fish around down in the pot for something itty bitty. Okay, and now on to and you always have to kind of keep it because you don't want to get it contaminated. Now we're going to move on to the liver of sulfur process and baking soda. Okay, and you just mix up, a little glob about a pea size of the liver of sulfur gel with hot water, warm water, put the piece in and watch the magic happen instantly. And it's up to you how long you want it in there. And sometimes if you move it around, it'll help the process. So wow, what was that? 10-15 seconds? Yeah. And then into the baking soda bath for about 2 minutes. And let's cover this up because it smells like rotten eggs. A lot of people like to use the steel wool, but I hate steel wool. I just use a wet, dry sandpaper. And it seems to work for me. And it's getting all of the black off, or as much of it as you want. And you can see it kind of hides that silver solder area. And of course, don't forget the back. And then that's where the initials will remain blackened because they're recessed. Okay, so I'm going to continue this and come back for the setting of the stone and what we're going to do with the bale. Okay, so I kind of finished off with the Dremel, and I can polish it a little bit better, but I'm going to go ahead and set the stone now, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to be a perfect fit. I think it was this way. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Feels good. So here we go. Believe it or not, there's a lot of times stones do not fit after all is said and done. And imagine, because I've been working on this for several hours now. Let's see, where's my rocker? Hang on. Okay, so this is a burnisher, which I've used this with soft soldering, and this is called a rocker pusher or something. And from what I recall, you should always do like a north, south, east, west kind of thing. Never just go at it because it might get wrinkles or whatever, but I think I'm going to start in the corners and go to the opposing corner because this has tips on it. And we'll go back over here. And so yeah, it does what it says it does. It kind of rocks. So you kind of don't damage the stone. And we're going to go over here. Oops, sorry. And we'll go over here. And I'm just being gentle right now because I don't want to come this far. But you can see there's still several points that are sticking up, and the goal is to gently, gradually get those all over without any kinks or wrinkles, which doesn't happen too much with this kind of bezel. The only things I really ever ran into was where I had to kind of cut a point off in a corner because it wanted to overlay. Okay, so I'm just making my way around now that I'm pretty confident that it's all in there. And then I'll use the burnisher. I love it. I love it. I just love it. And I'm so thrilled. You guys don't understand. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you do. Okay, so now I'm going to use the burnisher. And burnishers also bring out more shine, like if you rub them over the wire or the metal. So I'm just going to gently make sure all these little points are laying flat. And I don't even remember what gauge metal this was. I want to say it was at least a 24 gauge sheet. I don't really use anything thinner than that, unless it's just some earrings and I'm making spirals or something. But can you see how by doing that action, it's really shining it? So I'll be doing, kind of going over everything, the sides and all that. So let me do that. Okay, I'm happy with that. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I may keep this one for myself. I'm going to use my step nail making pliers on the third one up from the smallest and see what happens. I'm going to just roll this in. You might want to go the next larger one. Yeah. See, and I don't think I'll need, I won't need to solder that because it'll be a tight fit. I mean, some more experienced people might, but I'm not going to. You can see it's not really going anywhere. Oh, I love it! So there you have it, guys. My first hard soldering piece in almost a year. And that I only had about 5 months experience before it came to a screeching halt. So I'm pretty impressed with myself, if I do say so myself. So here's a particular chain I was thinking of. Yes. Oh, that looks nice. Or I have one of these ball chains in copper, which looks nice too. Or again, just a standby. And of course, if I was selling it, I'd probably, oh, that looks nice too. I like that with the black cord because it brings out the black. And I'll polish it up a little bit more, but it looks pretty good to me. And I'm not a great polisher, just because I'm impatient. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much more time, but I had to share this with you guys. It's been almost 2 weeks since I put out my last video. And like I said, I was, and still am, having some physical therapy, but I've really been feeling the pull to try this lately, just to see if there's a possibility that I might be able to return to this at some point. And you can easily see that to create one of these necklaces, pendants, using this technique, it's about one compared to anything else. Like in, I've been working on this for, gosh, 3 hours maybe, 3 hours total. I could have at least done 3, maybe more, in wire wrapping or the soft solder. So this is lots more time consuming, but oh my gosh, I just think it's fabulous. So I wanted to share that with you, and I'd love to hear from you guys. I know it's been a little while, but thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this. And please like, comment, and definitely share, because I'm almost at 900 subscribers. And my next goal is 1,000. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, till next time, guys. Bye. I appreciate you.